I know.
They wrote me off and I ain't like that, so I'ma fight that. The bad man back. Right when you thought that it was safe to relax, you gotta scratch that. The bad man back. Hills with me for real, they right here where I'm at. They know I like that. The bad man back. Right when you thought.
Welcome back to the Big LAC Show. This is your boy Big LAC. Today we have Andrionna Williams in the building.
He said it right.
I'm in my head, I've just been thinking it over and over again. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning. So, I am what you would say country and a city mouse. So, I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's very rare, but I was. And I was raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and also in Los Angeles, California. Go figure, right? So I completed high school in Los Angeles at St. Mary's Academy in Inglewood, California. And went back home to Southern University and graduated from there and got my master's from LSU. And I stayed there for a very long time. We still have a lot of different things going on in Baton Rouge, as far as properties and businesses. After I left Baton Rouge, I moved back to Vegas to take care of my grandmother and my mother. And when they both passed in 2015, I then moved to Atlanta. So now I'm here in Atlanta. My journey started with having a single mother, and my mother was a district attorney. She was also a real estate broker, a business owner. She was an Alpha Kappa Alpha. I followed in her footsteps a lot with everything. I can remember having a boutique in Hawthorne, Nevada, and having that so the kids could have good clothes and they didn't have to go to LA or Vegas or Reno to shop for school. We would bring the clothes into them, and that's where my auntie and some of my family members stayed. So I got into fashion because of the boutique. And I guess I was about probably 11 or 12 when she had that. And I was the co-owner, and it was fun. It was fun being in fashion with the shoes and the clothes and being able to dress everybody. And I became very interested in fashion. From there, I would say at the age of 10, I became a published writer. So I probably should have started there. Okay, but so at age of 10, I became a published writer in the state of Nevada, because one of my teachers submitted some of my writings. So that kind of started me to writing. And I absolutely hated to write, but I love to read. So it wasn't something that I gravitated to at first, but it was something that was in the back of my mind, and it was an interest. We'll call it an interest. And I was good at it. So it came easy. So I continued to write, even in high school. And then when I got to college, I was a writer for the newspaper. And I got to Southern because I wanted to go home. I wanted to be back in Louisiana. I wanted to be down there with my daddy and, the rest of my family. And I got there on a track scholarship. So there, running track, writing, doing my thing. I just eventually, like I said, I stayed and had children. So I have 3 fellas. I have 3 boys. And now I have an addition of 2 grandchildren. So they were all born in Baton Rouge and raised in Baton Rouge. And they are here with me in Atlanta. So where do I go from here? How did I get started with what all I do? it's funny because I was asked how many businesses I have, and I truly don't know. So let's just get into it. I started out in real estate. I tried my hand with writing. I did very well. So I have several books out. Two of them became stage plays, and one became a stage play and a reality show on A&E. I then started writing for other reality shows. So I'm responsible for like The Flavor of Love. I've even did a few sitcoms like the HIV AIDS sitcom on Girlfriends, and just a few others. Did a lot of things with Nick Cannon and his brother and Gabriel. So I just kind of got off into writing shows and sitcoms, and that got me back to the West for the most part. And I did a lot of book tours and little writing gigs in LA and New York and Vegas. So that's where I think the writing was kind of birthed the most, and just kind of went from there for the most part. So the stage play went on tour, went on a national tour. We did really well with that. We sold out theaters, over 2,500 seats and more. So I was really excited about that. That was a success, including doing the Orleans, which is a hotel casino on the Las Vegas Strip. So I got a little history behind me. I was the first to do a stage play off Broadway at the Las Vegas Strip. So I still hold that. I'm still very proud of that. Where am I going with stage plays today? I still want to do it. It's a passion. COVID kind of put a damper on a lot of things. And, but I'm thinking between 23 and 24, you might want to look out. Probably got some things getting ready to hit the stage. But, that's just between me and y'all. So off that to the other businesses. So Reflections. Reflections encompasses a behavioral health. I am very, very passionate about mental health. I've been in the mental health field for over 20 years. My mother also owned respite facilities and HIV/AIDS facilities in Baton Rouge. So that was something that I became very passionate about and still am to this day. So my fellas are involved in it as well. So also with Reflections, it's private home care. Why private home care? Because when my mother and my grandmother got sick, they had to have nurses. And I could not depend on those nurses. And then I didn't like the way that the agencies handled certain situations. And when it's your mother and your grandmother, you don't really take too much. So I stayed on their heads about a lot of things. And I said, you know what? I want to change this. I want to change people just taking care of people's families for money. You have to have a passion for it. You have to want to help them and get them to a better situation. So that's where the private home care came in at. So that's still going, and that's in 3 different states. It's doing well, and I do travel, and I even go see the clients myself. I actually enjoy it. So I do go visit. I do a lot of my own supervisory visits along with my nurse practitioners and my RNs. I am very hands-on when it comes to dealing with people with special needs and my families that I deal with. So I enjoy that. Also with the behavioral health, I do a lot of the counseling myself as well. That is actually opened in 3 states as well. And the next one is coming is Ayden, North Carolina. So, like I said, it's a passion. The other aspect of Reflections is a health and wellness. The health and wellness I got into because of my bout with COVID. And I seen how the insurances and the doctors and the nurses, they just don't take care of the patients. They don't have the time. It's just overwhelming for them. Sometimes you have to wait months and months to get in to see your primary doctor. So I just said, well, I'm going to open up a health and wellness. And I'm going to offer primary care. I'm going to offer weight loss and IV hydration and hormone therapy for the LGBTQ community. Everybody thought I was crazy, but they didn't understand that it was a passion. It was a method to my madness. There was a why. And one thing about me is when I have that why, it's very hard to convince me not to do what I already have in my mind to do. So the health and wellness is in New Orleans, in the East. And I chose the East because New Orleans East used to be a very prominent community. That's where your actors, your politicians, your ball players, your people with money. It was a very affluent area. But after Katrina, they did not build the East back up. That's also where our Six Flags was. So when Katrina hit, they just kind of left us, the Ninth Ward, and a few other places just kind of down bad. So I chose the East because I felt like it needed to pick me up. They needed the most. And that's where we are. And I love it. Yes, I do go in and I do see the patients. I think I'm a doctor or something. But I do go in and see the patients. I talk to them. I check them in. I check them out. I sit and run my mouth. I'm hands-on with that as well. So that's that. Yes, there's one here in Atlanta as well. And I'm hands-on with that too. I don't do as much, but I do go in and kind of see what's going on in there. So that's reflections. Then we're going to go down to Curvy Girl. Curvy Girl. Why Curvy Girl? So I've always been a fashionista. I've always loved to dress. I have a lot of, just like other women, I have a closet just for my purses and my shoes. I said, well, I want to do this. But I did it again for personal reasons. Because after my youngest son, the devil, he put a lot of weight on me. After my two oldest, I was able to lose my weight instantly, back down to a size 12, 14, stomach gone, just everything, just the curves were in the right places. I was good. But my youngest kind of put some weight on me. And I guess because by then I was older, I was like 32 having him, because he was like a, how did you get here type of situation. So that, and then my doctor put me on Depo-Provera, which was a birth control shot, because my husband at the time did not want me to get my tubes tied. He wanted more children. And so my doctor, I guess by law, if your husband doesn't sign or say so, you can't get your tubes tied. So I just said, well, I'll just get on this good old birth control. And that good old birth control blew me up. So I started developing clothes for me to fit me, because I found that because I do have a different size trunk, my pants would buckle in the back, fit my waist good, but buckle in the back. Or because I'm short, they would be like hecka long. When you are big at the top, the shirts get a little bit uglier. So I didn't like the florals and the ugly colors and the stripes and the flowers. So I just said, I'm going to start making my own clothes. So I started making my own clothes, and I would be out. People say, dang, that's gorgeous. Where did you get it? I made it. You made it. Yeah, I made it. Do you make clothes for everybody else? No. No. So time went on. I would always get compliments on my clothes. So when I moved to Georgia, my PR at the time, which was the media agency, they said, your clothes are dope, eh? We need to put those on a runway. Me, I'm goofy. I just laughed at them. I was just like, okay, that sounds good, but all right. They did it. And my very first fashion show was in 17, and it was Peachtree Fashion Week, and it was the twins, the Green Twins, that did the show annually, and it was at Piedmont. That was my very first fashion show, and that's what started everything. That's what birthed Curvy Girl, and the name came from my best friend Ronnie. She said, I think you should name it Curvy Girl. Oh, all right. But I didn't like the way that girl was spelled because I had to be a little different. So we just changed the I to a U. So that's how Curvy Girl was birthed. And here we are. So with Curvy Girl, we have done quite a few other fashion shows. I'm also responsible for the Essence fashion show. And we've done Paris, we've done New York, we've done LA. You name it, we've done it. Then next thing you know, I got a few calls and my clothes ended up in Macy's all over the world. And so next thing you know, Curvy Girl was now sold in Macy's. So I started doing fashion shows inside of Macy's. And that's how Curvy Girl was born. Where are we at now with Curvy Girl? We're growing and we are getting back out there since everything with COVID. And we're looking to continue doing great things. I now do the clothes. It was supposed to be just for plus size women, but I start getting more slimmer women wanting the clothes. I just said, well, we're just going to be a women's clothing brand. So that's what we are, women's clothing brand. So under Curvy Girl, we also have a modeling agency. So empowering women and making sure that they are their best them, regardless of their size, because weight doesn't define you, your character does. I'm just passionate about bringing up women and empowering women. So that's where we are with Curvy Girl. I feel like it will definitely do more things once we can, I guess, get past all of the COVID restrictions, trying to get fabrics in from China, trying to get things done. It's still a little difficult, but I think once everything gets back to normal, so will we. So that's Curvy Girl. And I think that's all, for the exception that I just bought the Douglasville bookstore. And it's the oldest bookstore in the county, in Douglas County. So it's 37 years old. And we are the first African-American owners. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. I bought that for my grandkids and my kids, just to keep the legacy going. Like I said in the beginning, I love to read. I've always loved and wanted a bookstore. So it kind of fell in my lap and I held on to it. And just come and see us, I guess. Yeah.
All right, so that was a lot.
That's a lot.
No, I mean, that's a lot to remember. I couldn't remember all that if that was me. So our story began in Nevada. Do we still have family in Nevada?
We do.
How often do you visit?
I visit at least once a month because I still have properties and businesses there as well.
Hold on. What, you mentioned your mom was a district attorney, and she also did real estate.
Yes.
Where else did this drive come from? Was it something? Was it just genetic, or did you see stuff in your neighborhoods and you were like, nah, I'll never be this, or I always, what is this? Because you have a lot going on.
A lot of dip on my chip. I think it was the drive. My grandmother was a dietary nurse at UMC in Vegas. She was actually Tupac's nurse when he got shot. That's a fun fact. And I watched how hard they worked. Then, like my mother, you know, she was just different. She was one that you would never see her sweat. And I know that she had hard times because I was there with her, but she wore it well. But when my mother passed, I felt like she should have been further along than where she was. And I said then, you know, after I buried her and just kind of went through my motions, and it took me a long time, and it still hits me a lot. I said I had to have things different. When I leave here, I want things in motion. I want things in place for my children, for my grandchildren. But when I leave here, I don't want to leave here with nothing. And I want to leave here with way more than what I came in here with. So I think that's my drive.
Gotcha. How many people do you have? All these businesses spread from East Coast to West Coast. How many people do you have on your team that actually helps you with these endeavors?
Oh, well, it's quite a few that work for us, work with us. But I would say my sons, and then I have my best friend, and then I have my brother. It's a gentleman that I call my brother. I met him in Vegas doing stage plays. He worked with me on my stage plays. And we've been over a decade in now. So that's who puts up with me. Not too many people can put up with me. So I just, I don't know. I'm very passionate about things. I'm very goofy. I'm not the traditional businesswoman that's serious all the time. I might come in singing or joking, but don't mess up my stuff, because then you'll see a whole different side of me. And then I don't have etiquette, is what they say. They say I'm uncouth. So I don't have the proper professional etiquette. So it's not good to mess up, because I will end up hurting your feelings, kind of thing. And I don't mean to, but I am a very shrewd businesswoman.
Do you have any biological siblings?
I have biological siblings from my daddy's side. So I got a chance to meet her 2018 for the first time. I took my son to prom. His girlfriend at the time was still in school in Vegas. So we all flew into Vegas for him to attend prom. And my sister and her husband and children came down. And I got a chance to meet them for the first time. She's much younger than me. She say we have a brother that I guess my daddy didn't, claim. I don't know. So I'm supposed to have a brother floating around somewhere.
So when was your last interaction with your father?
My last interaction with my real father, because I had a stepfather that raised me. My My last interaction with my real father, I would have to say, well, like 2012 or 13. And I got his number from one of my aunties. And I called him, and he was working at a hotel in Reno, Nevada. We spoke very briefly. He said he would call me back. And I never heard back from him. Prior to that, I would say 4 years old.
Do you does that do something to you?
No.
You know, it's funny. I'm the same way. When my father, the last time I saw my father face to face, I was 12.
Okay.
And I used to be up under that man all the time. My mom would, I'm from Atlanta.
Okay.
So a lot of people that know about Atlanta know Perry Homes, and then it was Grove Park or Bankhead Highway. And you could actually walk that distance in like an hour and a half young. And my mom used to be like, go to your dad's house. And I just walk. Me and a couple of my friends would just walk over there, you know, because 10, 11, 12, that's a good time. Mm-hmm. Walking through the creeks and picking muscadines off the trees, you know, walking over there. He was a real good man, but he ended up leaving, going back to Jacksonville. And as I got older, I started hearing people telling me that I should be mad because he wasn't in my life. Uh-huh. And I took on that for a while. Okay. For a while, I was angry at him, you know, pissed. And then one day, one day it just stopped. I stopped being angry because why? You know, me being mad at him and using him as an excuse why I'm not succeeding isn't helping the situation.
No.
And a lot of people, I tell people that because I have sons and I wasn't in their life like that. I'm not going to put the blame on nobody, myself and nobody else. It's just life.
Right.
And one of my oldest son, Lawrence Jr., me and him was having a talk, and he asked me that. Well, he went off on me on Facebook some years ago. Okay. Just went in on me, old man trying to rap, who wants to rap at 40 years old and all this stuff. But he was hurt. He was hurt, and he was hurt the same reason why I was hurt, because people were telling me I should be hurt. And it was people telling him, you should be mad at him. And I think a lot of us get caught up in our feelings on our own. Our feelings are somebody else's feelings imprinted on us. So that was a good answer, the way you said no. Because it's the truth. Like, you can't
miss nothing you never had.
That was in my brain.
Yeah.
You can't yearn for something when you don't know what it is. But you get a lot of people that tell you should be you should be mad.
Why
waste
that energy?
Why?
He passed away a year or so ago, right before his birthday. His birthday's March 18th. My sister and them, my family sent me the obituary. I told her, sorry for your loss. You know, and my sons were like, Ma, come on now. I said, well, I can't cry for a stranger. So I'm sorry for her because she took care of him and he made her get a blood test. He didn't even claim her until, you know, she was like 17, 18 years old, and she had to get a blood test. But she was the one that ended up having to take care of him. Wow. I say, better you than me. So I just say sorry for your loss, because she's the one that had the relationship with him. She's the one that got a chance to get to know him. She's the one that had to take care of him on his last days. So I feel bad for her. Yeah. But as far as him, I had no emotions. I could honestly care less.
Totally. And I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say, oh, come on. No, I listen, and I don't like sounding bad, but I get what you said.
Yeah.
If Tony Carter I don't know if he's alive or dead. If somebody came to me right now and said, you know, your dad died, it'll be, oh man, that's messed up.
That's messed up.
You know, I got brothers and sisters I never met. You know, a couple of years ago, I don't know how it happened, but a young lady, I ain't gonna say her name on here, but I reached out to her. Somebody, because all his family is in Tampa. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. All his family, most of his family live in Tampa, Florida, where my mom's from. That's where they met. Okay. So I was down in Tampa a few years ago. Yeah, a few years ago, and I ran into somebody. My uncle loved telling me, "Oh, this your cousin, this your daddy family." you know,
Right.
and I got other cousins, but, and so ran into somebody down there, and they was like, yeah, I'm your cousin. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking my mama's side. He was like, no, your dad's side, Tony Lee, you know, yada, yada, yada. And he was sitting telling me all this stuff, and I must have had a look on my face like, and he said, when the last time you talked to your dad? I said, when I was 16. He said, really? I said, yeah, I was driving. We was coming up on Greyhound. I was coming through Jacksonville, and I called him and told him I was at the Greyhound station. And he said, I'm going to come down there. And the bus sat there. We was a layover for about 2.5 hours. He never showed up. And that was the last time I cared. Like, until people started telling me I was supposed to care.
Right.
But after that, I didn't care anymore. Like, it is what it is. I'm trying to be a better father than I was to my older with my younger kids. And that's the only thing I can be.
Yeah.
All right, off the sad shit. So you just opened this bookstore in Douglasville.
Yeah.
That is deep.
Thank you.
Who runs it? You? You do the day-to-day operations?
They run me out of there, but I do like to go. I'm like there almost every other day. But I do have staff there. Yes.
Is it profitable? May I ask?
It is. It is. But the thing about it is, it's not going to make me a millionaire. But it's fun. It gives me a chance to be to use my creative side. So that's the fun part. I get a chance to play with the kids. I've been going to the elementary schools reading. They've been coming in there for story time. Like, it's the fun part for me. So I haven't really looked at it as a monetary gain. So I don't know.
2023.
All right.
You have a bookstore in Metro Atlanta.
Okay.
Why? It can't just be for the love of reading. Got to be something deeper than that.
It's the history. See, one thing that people don't know about me is I'm a trendsetter. I don't like to walk.
I thought you were about to say something else.
I don't care. Yeah, I gotta watch sometimes. I gotta think about what comes out my mouth because I don't have any filters. But I'm a trendsetter. I don't like to follow in other people's footsteps. I like to create my own. So, and then if you come behind me, it doesn't bother me any because I did it.
Yeah.
I already did that. So, the bookstore, I found out, first of all, it was kind of dear to me because when I did my first book signing in Georgia, that's where it was.
Wow.
So the picture that's in the newspaper on the front page right now is of me in that same, well, it was on Douglas Boulevard then, in that bookstore during my book signing. And so I was like, my feet were already planted there. My name was already known. My book sold out within 5 days. I mean, why not? Why not? Then I found out it was the oldest, one of the oldest in Georgia, period. But it's the oldest in Douglas County. So then I had a chance to be a part of history. So then I was like, okay, even better. So that was the force behind it. It was the history. It was what I can add to it. And just somewhere now I can just go get lost. I can go get lost in those books. I can go get on the couch and they know once I grab a book, I'm just there visiting. So I don't have to work, but that's my happy place.
Favorite genre?
Erotic.
Oh, jeez.
Boom.
I asked the wrong question.
Okay.
Okay. Erotic horror, erotic science fiction, erotic fantasy, erotic, which one? Which subgenre?
Well, I'd say erotic, period, but I like the poems and the short stories. I like the telling of the stories. So with the storylines, I'm a big Zane reader, and I would just say erotic. But I also like urban lit. I like the shoot 'em up, bang bang, and the cartel and the drugs and the guns, and from Baton Rouge.
It just excites you a little bit.
life, that was parts of my life. So I can relate to it.
We have a mutual acquaintance.
Okay.
My brother.
Okay.
I call him my brother. Right. A lot of people that he deal with don't like me. I don't give a damn. Fats. How did you and Fats meet?
In fashion. That is my baby. That is an amazing man.
It
and
is.
Just big old heart.
You know,
And some of the people that he have around him, I just
oh yes, Lord.
wish they would disappear. But that's how I met him, doing fashion, and we've been rocking ever since. And he supports everything I do, from ribbon cuttings to shows to he's even traveled with me to New Orleans and other places. Like that's an amazing man.
He is, man. He is. When he called me, he hit me last minute, and he was like, "Man, you coming?" Because I used to come to all his anniversaries. But then he got some people around him I can't stand, and you're not supposed to hit women. That's what they say. But he got a lot of people around him, that are just freaking leeches, man, and it hurts me. Like, I try to come to everything he has, but when I ask him, and you can see, if next time you talk to him, ask him. I say, "Who is so and so gonna be there?" Is so and so, and I'm like, "Bro, I'm sorry, I can't come." And this time he was like, "I know, bro, I really need you to come. I got something for you." I'm like, "What the fuck you got for me? What? Cash out me. You know what I mean? You owe me some money?" Because we borrow money from each other so much. "Hey, bro, let me get $50. Bro, I'm stuck somewhere. Let me get $20. Whatever. I'll get back to you when I get to whatever." And so I was dead when I told that story about he owed me $8.33. I was dead serious. But he said, "Bro, just come." And when I got there and I saw the people I don't like, and it made me so mad, because are y'all really here celebrating what this man is doing, or are you just sucking the life out of him?
Come on,
because he too dang old sweet, man. And I tell him that all the time. I say, "Bro, we both Leos, but we are similar, but we on opposite ends of the Leo spectrum. Because Leos can be super loyal to the wrong people. All the time. And that's my biggest, and I see it in myself, and I go off on him about it all the time. Like, "Bro, you too loyal to the wrong people." But anyway, but I saw you there last week, and he tapped me. He said, "You need to talk to her." And I was like, "What'd she do?" And he was like, "She got a lot of businesses. Like, y'all would be good teaming up on some stuff." And Facts, and I went, "Oh, okay, all right."
Is she one of them?
Yeah, because I love him,
Nope.
but I don't trust his judgment a lot when it comes to a lot of people, because he love everybody, no matter what they do to him. I want to say one person name so bad. This person used him and abused him and cuss him out, come back.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my God. And but yeah, and I sat there and he gave you your award and he spoke about COVID, and that hit my heart, because like I told you, similar thing happened to me.
Okay.
Like, I was sick. I was doing an interview at a club called Race. This is something else now, it's on Old National. I'm sorry, my nose always stuffy up, so if I'm sniffing, I apologize.
You good.
But and I was feeling bad. Like, I went there, set up everything, was interviewing artists, and it hit me just like this. It hit me. But in my household where I was living, my brother-in-law, we all lived together to save money. And my brother-in-law, he got it, but he didn't show no symptoms. My sister-in-law
Asymptomatic.
didn't get it. She didn't show no symptoms. My wife got it. She had a little bit of symptoms, but it went bad. Me, I went and got tested negative. Like, oh, okay, I'm good. So I went to this thing, the interview, and I'm sitting there, and I'm there for 2 hours. And from the time I parked, the time I got all my equipment out, the first interview, good. Second interview, I swear. Third interview, damn, I'm getting dizzy. Fourth interview, turned to the person I was with, and I said, "Hey, man, I got to go. I don't feel good." And they was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just going to leave." They were like, "Your stuff." I said, "Man, fuck this stuff. I got to go. I don't, and like, I'm one of those people when I don't feel good, I got to get home." And they helped me pack up most of my stuff. I don't know what happened to the rest of it. I lost a laptop, a microphone or something. I don't know. But I get home, as soon as I laid down, my wife was like, "You okay?" I said, "I don't feel good." She said, "Babe, COVID." I said, "But I tested negative 3 days ago."
Right.
And she was like, "Well, if you ain't feeling good next week, you going to the hospital." So the week became 2 weeks, and it just got worse. And I went, and I didn't have the symptoms everybody else had. My symptoms was my stomach was hurt, and it was like that feeling when you real hungry. It was that feeling. Like I didn't have the coughing, I didn't have the sneezing, I didn't have none of that other stuff. My stomach would just hurt, and I couldn't eat nothing. I didn't have an appetite. So finally, a Tuesday popped up, and she was like, "We take you to the hospital." So, true story. And so she took me to the hospital. They say, "You can't be here, you got to go home." We got them. So they made me fill out a paperwork, and I don't told this story a million times, but they made me fill out my little intake paperwork. And so the lady called my name, "Lawrence Carter." So I walked back over there, and she said, "Can you sit down, Mr. Carter?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What are you here for?" I said, I don't feel well. My wife thinks it's COVID." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she asked the young lady, she said, "Can you give me an intake form?" True story. So I'm like, "I already filled it out." And she showed me the form I filled out. Hieroglyphics. I didn't fill out. Only thing that was legible was my name. Everything else was like in a different language. So she tested my blood and all that stuff. Well, blood pressure, oxygen level. And she looked at me and she told me, she said, "Get a bed stat." So I had been sitting out in the waiting room for like 30 minutes. So they put me on the bed. They took me around. A bunch of nurses ran in. They started hooking me up to stuff. They put me on oxygen. And as soon as they put me on oxygen, I felt better. Like I immediately went, "Wait a minute, what?" And the lady said, "You know your oxygen level was 75, 76. I said, "Huh?" She said, "You were dead." I said, "Wait a minute, can't it be?" She said, "No." She said, "Anything less than 80 or something, like you going up out of here." So she asked me to use the bathroom. I couldn't use the bathroom because I ain't been eating there for about 2 weeks. I'm 300 pounds now. When I got COVID, I was 305. By the time they admitted me in the hospital, I was 249. In 2 weeks, I had lost almost 60 pounds. So they finally I peed. They gave me an IV. I used the bathroom. And I'm going to show you a picture before we leave. Blood. My urine was mostly blood. I was out of here. And so the doctor came in. They was talking. One of them said, "I think he got cancer." I was laying there, my eyes closed. I guess they thought I was asleep. So the doctor said, "I think he got cancer." The other doctor was like, "No, he got pneumonia." The other doctor said, "I think it's double pneumonia." The other doctor said, "Yeah, his kidneys were shut down." All of this stuff. So my phone about going dead. I ain't got no charger. So the lady walked me up, and she said, "We take you upstairs." I said, "Okay, cool." So we get upstairs. So I called my wife. I told her what everybody was saying. She called the hospital. She asked. She called me back. She was like, "Babe, one more day, you'd have been dead." And I was like, wow. Like none of the symptoms they said COVID was, I had.
Did you have?
I didn't have none of them. I just had stomach pains.
Right.
So I was in there about a week and a half. And what made me finally get out of there, the doctor came in and I said, "When can I leave?" He said, "When you can walk from that window to that door."
I know that's right.
Without your oxygen level dropping below 89. Done. Every day for 2 days, I just walked back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, he came in there one day. He said, "John, Mr. Carter," I said, "Watch this." I jumped up. I walked from that window to that door, back to that window, back to that door. And I showed him the little thing. He said, "Oh, you at 90. He said, "We'll release you today." I said, "Man, I got to get out of here." But tell me your story, because you told me that you had COVID and you was in the hospital. Tell me, what was your experience?
Well, I started feeling bad. We celebrated my grandson's first birthday. And I got sick a little bit after that. I went to the little hospital. It was in Clayton County. My fiance at the time took me there.
Southern region.
Yeah.
That's my one.
Okay. He took me there because his mama had been in there. And got in there. They did everything but a COVID test. I can't think of the guy's name, but I still have all the paperwork. He on Married to Medicine. He was my doctor. So he didn't do a COVID test. He didn't do anything. They said I had an upper respiratory infection. They sent me home. So I'm sick as a dog. I'm still trying to work. cook, trying to get things ready for Christmas. I remember laying down, and from what my kids say, when they came in to check on me, I was running a high fever, but I was talking crazy. I asked them how the blue color looked on the front door, and something about elephants and something else. So they got scared. They called the ambulance. The ambulance came, got me. They took me to Piedmont Fayette. At the time, I was living in Fayetteville. We had a house in Fayette. And I don't remember much after that, but I had COVID. And I guess from there, I went on the ventilator a few days later. And I was in a coma. I was in a coma for 4.5 months. And they called my family a lot and told them to come and say their goodbyes because all my organs had shut down. I was not breathing on my own. My heart wasn't even beating on its own. I was on just all machinery. My auntie Deb and my son were trying to get me to the Piedmont in Atlanta because they had the ECMO machines. And from what I understand, the ECMO machines are supposed to be better than what I was on in Fayette. But they had no space. So then my son was trying to pay a doctor. He was charging my son $12,000 to come from New York. And he was like, they couldn't get the variances for him to be able to work. The doctors wouldn't sign off for him to be able to see me in that hospital. So they were like, if you can get her to New York, I got you, because evidently he was doing fabulous things there in New York for the patients. But my family decided against it because I was so weak. They didn't think I was even going to make the trip. Yeah. And so they made the decision to keep me at Fayette. So long story short, I fought. And they said every time that they would call my family for them to say their goodbyes and they would come, they said I would come back fierce. So I think that it was just me being able to hear them. I guess I just needed to hear them. But they said I fought. So when I did come out of the coma, I was scheduled to be married that January. But of course, it just didn't happen. So that March 25th, the hospital, Piedmont Fayette, gave me a wedding. And my fiance and I were married. And the doctor gave me her dress. Like, everybody gave me something. So I had flowers, I had a dress, I had cake, I had everything. But at the time, I still had a trach in my neck. I was still paralyzed. I was paralyzed from the neck down. I still had a feeding tube, so I wasn't even eating, except for what they gave me in my stomach. So they married us. A chaplain came in, married us. I do remember that. From there, I was sent to Select Specialty in Midtown. And I was supposed to go there to get better, do some PT, hopefully get the trach removed, hopefully get the peg tube removed. I did quite a few of those. I did get the peg tube removed in Select Specialty, and I did get my trach removed and off the ventilator for the most part. So from Select Specialty, they sent me to a rehab. I got to that rehab in May, and it was in Athens. I guess that was the closest. And I got there probably about 5:40, close to 6 o'clock that evening. And I can remember being very scared. Like Select Specialty, I cried every night. I felt like anything could happen to me. I couldn't fight back. I was paralyzed. Like, the nurses, some of them were nice, some of them were very rude, especially the African ones. It was the worst part of my life. And so when I got out of there, like I said, I went to Athens. I was only there 12 hours. There I was pretty scared too, because I didn't have I couldn't use my phone. I didn't have no feelings in my fingers. I couldn't move. I couldn't even buzz the nurses. They kept on saying, we're going to try to find a special device that we could probably put for you to do it with your head. They never found it. So that night they left me with the door open. I could not scream or anything. I didn't have a voice. I had just gotten my trach removed, so my vocal cords and still were, still pretty damaged. So very scared. I remember crying that whole night. Then 5 o'clock that morning, the lady came in to give me my medicine. And I do remember saying, I don't take all this. She said, well, this is what came over from the hospital. So once everybody comes in, we'll get everything, the way that it's supposed to be. All right. So I took the medicine. She ended up overdosing me. I was rushed to Piedmont, Athens, where they had to revive me, pump my stomach. And when I did awake from that, my family was there, my sons and my husband at the time and family, they were there. So I made it through that. COVID didn't kill me. The little lady tried to kill me. So I stayed in Piedmont, Athens, and they said, well, the people say they'll let you come back if you want to go back. I said, no, I'm not going back there. That lady almost tried to kill me. And they said, well, we're going to keep you here because we have to keep you anyway for observation. And from what I understand, the caseworker talked to the CEO and the medical directors and, everybody that had the say-so of being able to keep me. So they decided to keep me until they could find me another rehab. So I ended up staying in Piedmont, Athens for over a month until they could find me an available bed that took my insurance that I could go to. So I just camped out at Piedmont, Athens, and they spoiled me rotten. I did my PT there. They would roll me to the window so I could look out the window because I had not seen outside or grass or anything in like 8-9 months. So I used to have a good time at Piedmont, Athens. They would roll me around so I could see down the hall, and every morning at 3 o'clock, I would get my sandwich and my soup, and because by now I was eating, but I could only have certain things. So I enjoyed Piedmont, Athens. So they finally found me a rehab in Covington. And so that was Pruitt Health. So I was shipped to Covington. And, back up at Piedmont, Athens, I got in trouble one time because I didn't know they had alarms on the bed. And I found out that my family was just going through a lot and nobody was telling me nothing. And by me being a mama bear, I was like, I got to get out to my kids. I just have to get out to my kids. I got to figure this out. Things are just not right. I just needed to be at home. So I spent Mother's Day in Piedmont, Athens. And after that night, I tried to get up out the bed. And the alarm went off. And I ended up almost falling. And so I got in trouble about that. Fast forward, moved me to Covington. I found out really fast that they didn't have alarms on that bed. And every night, they came in and did the assessment. They said, can you walk at all? I said, not yet. They said, okay, well, we're going to do your assessment in the morning and, check your weight and da-da-da-da-da. I said, okay. And we're going to start your PT program. Perfect. Because I'm trying to get out of here and get home to my kids. Okay, Miss Williams, but okay, but I got to go. So they did that. And so they told me, well, we're going to try to start you moving if you can stand. I said, yep, I can stand. So I stood up for them on the walker, but I couldn't take a step. They's like, well, they taking all their little notes. They watching me. I'm watching them. Okay. So I said, well, Tonight I said because I do want to try to do some leg exercises. I said, y'all don't have no alarm on this bed, huh? I said, because I don't want to move, and then I got everybody coming down running after me. Oh no, girl, this is Pruitt. We don't have no fancy stuff like that. Boom. That's what I needed. That's the hand I fan with. So that whole night, I sat up on the side of the bed and I would stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. Well, I fell and could not get up. When they came to check on the person that was in the room with me, they seen me and they was like, Miss Williams, what's going on? I said, well, I fell. And they said, well, why didn't you say something? I said, well, I tried to holler for the neighbor, but of course, because my vocal cords, I could not. So I just laid there. And so they was like, well, do you have to use the bathroom? Let me get you up. They got me up. They let me use the bathroom and made sure I was okay. They're like, you're probably going to be a little bruised tomorrow. I'm like, I'm all right. So long story short, every night after that, for like the next night or so, I would still stand up and sit down, trying to strengthen my hips. So that particular day, they came to get me for PT. They said, all right, well, we going to do some stand-up sit-downs. I say, perfect. I said, but I want to walk. They said, Miss Williams, you can't walk. I said, I can walk. Okay, well, we're going to try you with the walker. I say, perfect. And that day, I walked up and down the hallway, and they called my kids on FaceTime. And my kids just cried. I think that was just the perseverance in me because I knew that I had to get home. So I taught myself how to walk. And I stayed there for 29 days because insurance purposes, I had to be there for 30. But they counted the day, the little 12, 13 hours at the other place that they almost killed me at as my 30th. So I got away with doing only 29 days at Pruitt. And I walked out of there. And I've been walking ever since. So that is my COVID story. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I'm still under the pulmonologist. So I still do CAT scans and different things, CTs.
You got an asthma pump?
I have asthma pumps. Man, they even put me on like blood pressure medicine. They said, you didn't have any problem before. I said, baby, I was healthy as an ox. I didn't have cholesterol. I didn't have blood pressure. Baby, I played softball like COVID gave me all kind of ailments. So now I'm on blood pressure medicine.
Do you have the COVID brain where sometimes
No.
you forget stuff?
Nope.
I got it real bad. Like I started talking to somebody and people that knew me before that, they always say, you all right? Because I go, and I have to think, and I have to think about what I'm about to say next. I get it real bad sometimes. Sometimes I don't, but a lot of times, if I'm in a high pressure situation, it kind of messed me up because my brain will just shut off.
Really?
Because from what they told me, like,
You're supposed to have it. I was supposed to.
yeah, they said the oxygen was shut off to everything that was supposed to be. But that's good, man.
I'm supposed to be brain dead, but
Glory to Hanuman, you still here?
yes.
We're gonna get you out of here on some good stuff.
Okay.
So we were supposed to do 30 minutes, but it's been an hour.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you are perfect. That's groovy. So we got the bookstore, we got Curvy Girl at Macy's, we got the hospice you got set up. What's the future for Miss A. Williams? Oh.
Uh-oh.
Let's go back to, so the guy who you married while you was in a coma. Yeah.
You caught on to that, huh?
Is that even legal?
Well, it was legal, but he didn't turn the paperwork in. So when I got home and found out that my paperwork hadn't been turned in, I said, I'm single now. So we are still cordial. He wants it a little different, but so much stuff happened with my kids while I was away that it's just something that I don't want to pursue. So, and it just wasn't fixable. It was fixable. Let me say that. And I gave him every opportunity to fix it. And he felt that he didn't have to because my kids were grown.
Wow.
So, I just said, well, I'm single. So I'm single. They didn't turn my paperwork in. They can't even find the paperwork. I asked my son, I said, where's my marriage paperwork? I don't know. Tony, where the paperwork? I don't know, babe. All right then. Well, y'all don't know. I don't know. The courts don't know. So I guess it's no marriage.
I guess not. So we got Curvy Girl, we got the bookstore, we got the medical centers. What's in the future for Miss Williams?
Well, I have properties in different places. I want to start trying to do some developing. I want the Williams Estates, and I have big plans for one of those. And then I have some things that I want to name after my mom and my grandmother dealing with properties. So I want some apartment complexes. So a lot of different things are in the works that my son handles, my middle son. And then we used to own a restaurant in Baton Rouge called Mama's Back Porch on Airline Highway. I want to open up another restaurant. I love to cook, and I think that's where I'm going to just kind of stop, just because once I get into the restaurant, I think that's kind of what I want to do. We used to own a daycare. I want to open up a daycare so my grandkids don't have to go to anybody else's daycare for right now. So there's quite a few things, business ventures that's in the works already because I'm a busybody. And then eventually I do want to be married. I don't like being single. It's boring. So I know, as everybody say. I do want to be remarried and grow, have a partner, and do things together. Travel. I love to travel. I'm a water lover. So I don't know. I just go with the flow, y'all. I'm very spontaneous. So nothing about me is ever planned. That's another fun fact.
When's your birthday?
I am a Cancer. It's July 2nd. Yes.
Okay.
The best. Yes.
The best of what?
Roll your eyes. The best of the zodiac.
The best of who zodiac?
Everybody's.
Oh, okay.
Dang.
You the guest. I'm not going to argue with the guest.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I do love Leos. My best friend is a Leo. She's August 2nd. My brother that I told you about that works with me, he is a Leo. My baby son is a Leo.
What's his birthday?
His July 23rd.
Okay. One of my good friends, his birthday, St. Chad's Cancer, his birthday, July 23rd.
Okay. And my brother's the 27th.
He's not, July? We got a lot of Cancer type Leos.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have a lot of Leos around me. And then my middle son is a Taurus. And my oldest baby is a Pisces. So I'm surrounded by love. Just a lot of love.
Crazy love.
Yes. And loyalty. Like I feel it.
Those are some loyal dang on zodiac signs for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's get you out of here. Give us all your social media. Give us everywhere they can reach you. If somebody want to come read a book, somebody want some clothes, somebody need to put their family member in hospice care, give us all your info.
I think the quickest way is just going to say me. I'm simply Andrionna on IG, and then Andrionna Williams on Facebook. But then it's also just Reflections. Curvy Girl, spelled girl with a U. That's on IG and Facebook as well. And then Douglasville Books. That's the website and IG and Facebook.
Outstanding. Well, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure too. Thank you for having me.
And I'm glad that you came.
Well, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I told you I would.
I was a little bit late.
You good?
On some BS. That was it.
Well, thank you.